Profiler, Tones and Talks, Season 2, still, because we decided to extend it a little bit. And we have, because of current developments and discussions out there, decided to address a very hot subject after Clean Sense last week, and that is amp in the room. What is the amp in the room sound if we or other guitar players talk about that? What do they mean? And what's actually the challenge for guitar amp substitution devices to generate an authentic and real usable amp in the room sound, if that is what we're after. And we will find out that in a second, together with, he's again with us, Mr. Thomas Dill. Thanks for being with us. Hi. And you just came out of a first extensive liquid profiling session. So you might have worked with a lot of guitar speakers, microphones, sometimes maybe load boxes and stuff like that, comparing what you have profiled with what the amp was delivering and things like this. So your ears should be very up and running and aware of all the nuts and bolts that are possible to happen there. And of course, you have also the goal to get as close as possible to the microphone guitar speaker situation. So enough of me. Let's start this. And first of all, I will ask you, what is, the amp in the room sound for you? And you might have heard the expression, and you might have gotten some parts of the various discussions that are going on out there. So, what is your take on amp in the room sound? What is it?
Yeah, for me, it's the normal amp sound. The sound that we guitar player are used to, because we are sitting mostly in a room, not at open air concerts, but mostly sitting in a room. We have an amp, maybe about 1 meter, 2 or 3 meters beside us. And this amp, when you turn it up a little bit or a little bit more, it interacts with the room. And everybody knows that, or everybody who plays in different venues. The same setting on your amp. Yes, Mr. Thomas?
No. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Okay. Please finish. But there is something. But
okay, so for me, it's amps are sounding different because they are in different rooms, and this is, for me, it's normal. We are used to listen to guitar sounds or guitar amps that have these room information. We won't have our ear at the speaker to get that direct sound. We want that sound with the room. So that's it.
And that is wrong.
Oh,
this is wrong, because no, don't take me for granted. I'm just joking. But the point is, you say amp and everybody says amp. And what you're actually saying is, and you said it in your last sentence, it's the speaker in the room. Because when James Hetfield is sitting in the control room with this amp next to him, and he's dialing the stuff, and the cabinet is in the recording room with a set of microphones in front of the cabinet and the speaker, and maybe even some microphones in the room, and they are all brought together to create a mix of what actually is going to be on the former or the next Metallica album. The amp is not the amp is in the room, but doesn't matter because where the cap is always matters, and that's the thing. And that's also a very important thing because this might sound like, how do you call it, a counting piece. In Germany, we call it Erbsenzählen. There's a more proper expression for this in English, I'm sure, but bear with me. So we need to be precise because the discussion out there, excuse me. So the microphone arm just
I think you're getting excited about that topic.
So because we need to be precise here, because these discussions out there are they happen with a lot of precision and nitty-gritty details that are pointed out, because the amp in the room sound is basically a cap in the room without a microphone.
Yeah.
To begin with, I think that's what most people mean. And then it also depends how the room is equipped. If it's bare walls, if it's a small room, a big room, if it's reverby or if it's pretty dry, it has a big impact on how the guitar amp sounds and how it interacts with the guitar. And then, of course, how close you are to the cabinet actually. And usually, if you are dealing with a combo or with a 4x12 cabinet, you're sitting to a certain angle to the speaker. So if you would move your ear in front of the cone and in front of the speaker, you would be able to, if you run the volume low enough, you would be able to hear very, very different situations by moving the ear. And that's very important to understand. And that's what we are trying to, catch with the microphones, trying to find the right spot in front of the speaker. And we want to get there where we are when we are sitting next to the cabinet. And that's a very complex situation, and it's a very complex endeavor to try to find out, or to try to get to a point where we actually capture that what we are hearing with our ears next to the speaker, which is, I would say, close to impossible.
Yes.
But we're getting close. And so going from this impossible situation to the profiling or the modeling and bringing this into a device that's able to recreate that situation with a microphone in front of the speaker. That's already a thing where the human being is involved and has taken a number of decisions between, okay, how sure am I about what I'm hearing when I'm sitting next to my favorite spot, my favorite angle, next to the guitar cabinet? And then how close do I get with my microphone shenanigans and preamps and whatever, and mixing them together to a profile or to a recording situation? That's there's already a lot of personality involved. And so what's your take there? Because you've been sitting there next to your guitar cabinets, and then you were selecting microphones and trying to find positions and recreate that what you were hearing with the profiling process. So how accurate, how different from what you're hearing in the room is it actually already when you're trying to put a microphone in front of the cabinet?
I would say a different pair of shoes. So think about the recording process. You are in the room, in the recording room with your amp blowing up, and it's coming to the control room, listening to what you've recorded, and it sounds different. because of this huge loudness of this amp. You have 4x12 speakers in a recording control room. You only have small speakers mostly, and it's different. So the thing is, what do you want? To find out what you want. If you want to have the audience listen to the sound that you get on stage or with the amp cap in the room, you need to do it the old school way. So 2 full stacks, no PA, no mic'd amp, and blow it into the crowd. Only vocals are going to the PA, or maybe some drums.
But yeah, and I'm totally anal about this, pardon my French here, because that's also a situation which is completely undefined.
Yeah.
Because there again, if you have 2 stacks, I mean, I saw a Dinosaur Junior with the Master Masses on a guitar in a club in Hamburg, and he had 3 stacks, 3 stacks, full stacks around him on stage, like 2 here and 1 in the back, and he was having hopefully the time of his life. Well, everywhere, anytime when he's using this on stage, but there as well, when you're moving your head like this, you change the frequency that you're hearing, because the dispersion from guitar cabinets is so unique and so directed with a lot of frequency booms that are happening, so that it's impossible to have one way of sound dispersion from your cabinet, because even on stage with 2 stacks, whatever, if you move around, if you roll around on stage doing your thing with the strut and the lighter fluid, for example, whenever you roll around, the sound changes. And so what do you want the audience to hear, to listen to? Because you have to decide and make a compromise always. So that's what I want to bring across, that it starts always with a huge compromise, and we're not talking about profiling or digital or modeling here, because just where you're putting the microphone, and how many microphones in front of your guitar cabinet on stage or in the studio, is already a decision and a compromise. And from there, we have to go on, and that's the thing with the amp in the room sound. So, but I didn't want to stop you. I just wanted to, inject this.
Everything's fine. So
precision into this.
And so this is, like you say, set the compromise. So now miking an amp is, check out the mic. Which mic do you want to have? Do you want to have a warmer sound? Take a ribbon mic. Do you want to have a gnarly, fizzy sound? Take the SM57. Maybe mix both. Convenient method to get the best of both worlds. So this is just the normal recording technique. And then the other thing is what you often hear in those older rock sounds from the 70s, 60s, 70s, Hendrix. You hear a guitar, let's say a guitar tone with room. So when you listen with headphones, you think, okay, I'm standing in the room listening to the guy playing. This is created by room microphones. So they place direct microphones in front of the speakers, then maybe 2 microphones far way back to capture this room sound. Let's say room sound. And if we talk about amp in the room, I think we mean cap in the room. It's it's something like the tremolo on the the vibrato on the Fender amp. So which isn't a vibrato, it's just a tremolo because it's volume changing. So amp in the room means cab in the room. And okay, so for profiling, you won't take these room informations. The profiler only works with direct signals, so we have to create our own room with reverb. So that's what I'm doing.
And just to inject here, that's completely correct. And I yesterday saw another Rick Beato video where he is doing a what makes this song great. Deep Purple, Smoke on the Water. We have been dealing with Smoke on the Water a couple of episodes back when we were discussing the Legends tributes. And the guitar starts on one channel, and just like with the Van Halen records, which are famous for this, the reverb to the guitar is on the other speaker. And that creates more like what we're used to when we're listening to an amp in the room. It's direct mic'd with the challenges without the room information, and then it's recreated in a way, in a different way, in a creative way, in a designer-ish way, by adding artificial reverb to that. And so that's delivering a more real sounding to our ear sound. But I didn't want to interrupt you. Just
everything's fine. The next thing is the listener is the first thing. So the listener gets this, I would say natural guitar tone because of the room where the guitar is in. That sounds natural for every listener, and more, let's say, three-dimensional. And of course, for the player, it's natural and better for the play feel too, if you have some room information and some reverb, something, like a little bit of room, or some people like hall. A lot of hall. Sometimes it's too much. And should I show something to create these rooms?
Yes, of course, because and that's the challenge with a lot of recreation processes and devices. To go from, you want to have that amp in the room, and then you stick a microphone in front of the cabinet, and you completely at least you lose a lot of room information. Not entirely, but you lose a lot of room information when you put the microphone so close to the amp speaker, and it sounds even not really good. Let's put it like this. And how do we deal with this? Coming from there to the cabinet in the room sound. And one thing is to add some reverb, and there are some other things you can do. And sometimes that's then the real art of sound engineers and the engineers who create these modern guitar sound devices, to go from this very dry and boring direct microphone signal to something that the player and also the audience could recognize as a great guitar sound. And you went just through the process. So what's step by step required to go there? Not doing all the amp sound, but that authentic, cabinet tone that reaches the ear of the listener and the player.
I will show you. So going to the rig manager, and here's one. Wait. Here it is. The Marshall Plexi. And just to show you here, this is from the bread and butter, from my bread and butter rig pack. And I have installed for the first 40 rigs, which are only the amp and drive rigs, so the pure amp rigs, 2 reverbs. One larger reverb with 1800 seconds decay time. And one other one with 1000 milliseconds, which simulates a smaller recording room. So when people ask me, do you record when you're recording with a profiler with reverb? I always say yes, because without reverb, it sounds like that. Totally dry, and for me, unnatural. Because when you have a mic'd cab always in the studio, you get some room information. And I try to get this room information. It's nice to have this tone very dry and just to adjust this room information. And let's take it with a natural reverb. The easy thing is, so you have decay time, room size, pre-delay, mix level. These are the guys here. Let's say high cut at maximum, modulation off, early diffusion at maximum, stereo 100% is okay, no input swell and ducking at 0. So then turn everything down, minimum, decay time 0.2 milliseconds, and the mix level turning up. You get this?
That's like the bathroom.
This is the bathroom sound. So I really turn up this mix level to get this roomy tone, just to listen without. And with. Totally different, and for me, more natural. So you said bathroom. Okay, what we can do is turning the mix level down at first. Or getting some high cut. That means putting some carpets on the wall and on the floor. More high cut. Then next thing, if you think, okay, it's the room is too small, bathroom, take a bigger room. Turning the high cut a little bit up. Now maybe the room is too loud. Turning the mix level down. So for me, when I have the mix level really turned up in that case, finding the room sound, it's like turning the amp in a room totally up, so very loud. Then you hear more room reflections. If you turn the level or the volume of the amp cap in the room down, you hear less reflections. So the mix level is something for me the level of the volume of the amp in the room. So taking that down will sound like that. Then maybe a little bit longer decay time. So this is something you get a more natural tone. Maybe taking low decay a little bit up to get a boomier sound. Or boost it. And another thing, what is important for me, where I think the quality of a reverb is really great, when it reacts very dynamic. I will turn the mix level up. You hear it loud now when I'm playing loud. So this is really important, that the reverb reacts on your play and you get these tones. So this is my way to get a more three-dimensional tone. And I have always, on the last module of the signal chain, one room reverb, which simulates the room where my cabinet is standing in. Sometimes it's a bigger room, sometimes it's a smaller room, but I always record that. And then I have another reverb, maybe spring reverb for effects. So let's say you have a Fender amp with a spring reverb in it. You have the spring sound and the room reverb. So I really take both reverbs and record them. And especially when I'm doing some lush ambient sounds or something like that, I always have this room information reverb on the last module of the signal chain.
So you always, you said it, but just to re-mention this. So the essence is basically that you take the microphone information and you add always the room where the guitar amp is meant to be.
Yeah.
Anyways, generally, because in the nature it doesn't happen without a room. It's always in a room, even on an open air festival, whatever. But because then that's the PA is blowing the thing, and there will be reflections and stuff like that. So that's very important. And here's one thing that I would like to add at this point. Your approach is the fine. How would you call it? Complete sound design approach to this. For a quick and dirty room experience, Mr. Christoph Kemper came up with the space parameter. You are most probably familiar with that as well. And that was basically asked for by the players who are dealing with in-ear monitoring. Because you usually get that mono signal then there, and if there's no dedicated reverb or delay, you have that thing, stuck, glued in your head. And with the space parameter, you can have a little bit of early reflections, just dial it in very conveniently to give it a little bit more, going from here to the sides in your in-ears, and that's very positive experience for players. And then also another thing came out of the cap in the room discussions, and that is pure cabinet, the parameter. You're most probably familiar with that one as well, because what you realize with whenever you stick a microphone in front of a guitar cabinet, you hear stuff that you usually don't hear when you're listening with your ears to the guitar cabinet in the room. And this is the microphone effect. That's a little bit of harshness, high frequency, crispiness around 8K or even a little bit above, which basically doesn't do anything for the guitar tone and basically isn't there in the first place. So you would have to deal with this by EQing and things like this. And to deal with that, so basically the idea is to take the microphone side effects out of the equation. The profiler has the pure cabinet parameter, and you have to deal with it very carefully, because it can sound pretty dull quickly, but it takes down the harshness and these weird frequencies above 8K that come just from putting a microphone in front of the guitar speaker. So to smooth it out a little bit more. So that's also a tip to try this if you want to have want to get even closer to the real sensation of the guitar cabinet in the room, I guess.
And what I just said about these room sounds are just for recording purpose. So this is only my approach for recording. For the stage sounds, it's a little bit similar. So I always have a smart room, let's say that, just small room, to get this little bit three-dimensional tone, even if you play with in-ears or if you play with caps. I have this room information in the basic tone, and for the live sound, it's always the same room, because you play in the same room. And but not with arena reverbs or something like that, because the guy at the sound desk can adjust the bigger room, the bigger reverb sounds, or the arena makes the sound, hopefully for everybody who's playing in the arena. And so it's just one stage reverb which is in every rig I'm using on stage, one small reverb.
To just bring in that extra level of authenticity to the guitar tone. Yeah, that is very smart, and it's also quite you could say required to be on par or even better with what usually is done and presented to the audience, because what we need to realize, and I didn't until I really thought about that. So we are trained on how a guitar sounds. Clean guitar, bluesy guitar, edge of breakup, amp tones, modern metal stuff, whatever, everything. Through what? Listening to records.
Yes.
At least me. So the first electric guitar I heard, is that true? Yeah, most probably it's true. It's through records.
Yeah.
So what we are trained on, everybody, is somebody's decision to put a microphone in front of a guitar speaker and take it from there and present it to the audience. And that design work that has been done and the decision work, it's presented to us, and that's what trained us on, okay, that's a great guitar sound and this not so. not such a great guitar sound. And that's what we should keep in mind when we're dealing with the profiler, even being as a guitarist in the room, because that's what the audience is trained for, and that's what we're basically going for. That's the holy grail, I guess. You know, the great guitar tones on the great records, and that's for the recording stuff. And then for the stage, okay, that's the different thing. That's where you have to decide. Jimi Hendrix, I think, never heard the guitar sound Jimi Hendrix has heard, because he himself was the person standing next to the guitar amp, and nobody else could be there at the same time, because only one head could be in this position at the very time. So we're always dealing with, trying to get close to the things, and that's what we shouldn't forget. And that's what's always, I think, makes the biggest difference between all the other devices, listening to speaker simulations and microphone systems, how lively and realistic and authentic they sound if you just compare it to a record. And what else? There was something else I just wanted to bring up as a controversial.
I have something to mention, to think about. Yeah. These early 60s recording, I think it was the Beatles' Revolver, where they started miking directly, because it was forbidden at Abbey Road Studios to put a microphone in front near the kick drum. So they had to record everything with room mics or with microphones standing far away. So I think they did that with the guitar amps too. So they got this room sound because the white coat sound engineer said, no, we can't do that. And
that's not the way it is done here.
Yeah. So, and I think, I don't know, very much Hendrix recording sound, so his guitar tone is really roomy also. But I think Eddie Kramer worked with that room tones to the two Neumann microphones, also AC/DC sounds. Listen to Back in Black. This is room sound, very much room sound. And to get that, you need that special, you can't do that with a normal hall reverb or something. You need that close room, short reflections or short decay, and turn the mix level up so that it combines the guitar tone with the room. And this is really now, with the processors we have, the plugins we have, we can do that.
Yeah, and we have to do that, I would say, and that's the thing to send out to the world. Everybody, please think of that, and please do that, because the difference is so significant. I very often fool myself because I have these microphones open, because they're recording voices or doing Zoom meetings and stuff like this. Even with the studio mic, it's here, and sometimes I work on sounds with the rig manager for the profiler, and then I record it, and I realize I haven't this one in the equation, because the profiler goes directly into the DAW, and this microphone that's even like this, it picks up the strings, the dry strings, and this adds to the room feel. It's a reflection thing, and a treble and an openness, which is not there if you then just listen to the recording. And so it's important to listen to the recording and really compare it to what's happening in the room, and adding, as you explained to us, a little bit of appropriate reverb and room impression for this, just to open it up as well, that it doesn't sound muddy and as if there would be a blanket on top of the amp and the microphone. And then the other thing is also because by placing the microphone, and that's the last thing for today, you take the decision on how many treble, mid, and bass frequency you put into this early equation before it gets more complex. And then the next thing is after you've done all the things and the recording has happened, or you get into a mixing board. So how then do you bring it to your audience again? Because it needs to go through loudspeakers again. And usually you wouldn't put guitar cabinets up on stage to bring the recorded or
Nice.
amplified guitar amp sound to the audience. So there will be full range speakers. And now is the moment where I can actually say to the world, there are full range speakers, but there are no FR speakers.
Yeah.
I'm very sorry. There's no FR because full range, yes, it goes through all the frequencies that are there and important, but a flat response on loudspeakers, it's just not existing. It's just not existing. Every loudspeaker system has a certain frequency scheme, highs and lows, valleys and mountains, and there's no flat response. So
even if you
we can forget the second FR. The world would be a better place with the second FR. And kudos to Fender for with the new FR cabinet they brought out. It's an FR cabinet and not FR cabinet. Just as a little bit as a small anecdote here. But you need to take this into consideration as well, and that's why also there's always master EQs on the outputs of the profiler and the mixing desks for live shows and what have you, because on every speaker system, your mix and also your profiler will sound slightly different. How do you deal with that, by the way? Because you use a cabinet on stage as well for your personal monitoring every now and then, or maybe always. And you have to position them in a certain way that you have a sort of defined experience independent from the room, which is also an impossible thing because in every room they might sound slightly different. So how do you deal with that, and how much tweaking do you do from venue to venue?
Not much, to be honest. In one situation, when I'm on stage with Andy, the comedian, I'm playing a full range cab from Blue Amps. It's an active cab, and it's very low stage level. So it's acoustic sounding. So you hear the talking. So it's nothing fancy. I have it beside me, and it's always for me. It's I like to have the amp or the cab on the left side from me. So I'm getting it from the left when I'm standing on stage left, stage right the other way. But getting it from the side and listening to the other guys getting something on the monitor. I never get my guitar on the monitor because I'm leveling out, and I like to have the other guys coming from the monitor. That's one situation. The next situation is because with Andy, I'm playing acoustic guitar, nylon guitar, electric guitar. So full range cab is the thing to use. So you can't use a guitar cab. When I'm playing louder gigs, only electric guitar, I like to have a guitar cab because it's solid rocking. So electric guitar tones, guitar cab. I have a 212 with creamback speakers, powered by Palmer Palmer Macht 402, I think it's Class D power amp, nothing fancy. It's really loud and can compete with Ampeg bass amps and other stuff. And this is version number 2. Version number 3 is this is what I would like to experiment next Friday when I'm playing with Andy. Instead of the full range cap, I'm using in-ears. And just to let the cap at home and have this nice in-ear sound. Yeah, checking that out. So these are the 3 situations. And to be honest, I have adjusted all the sounds with a tone inch. I think it took about 5 gigs to have everything fine. And where I know what to tweak and what not to tweak, how much high frequencies and how much low frequencies, matching the levels of lead tone, matching the levels of rhythm sound. And so I don't really tweak that much on stage. So yeah, I know when I'm playing in a different venues, it sounds different. So this is because of the venue, and I have to deal with that. So I won't touch any frequencies in the rigs or something near that to change it, because I know it works.
So you don't even, bring up a little bit the treble or the presence on the master EQ for the monitor output?
Monitor EQ when I'm playing in a room which is really resonating, then turning the bass down. Yeah, but I didn't have that problems with the acoustic set. So because we're playing these lower volumes, with higher volumes, when the drummer's really hitting hard, and the stage resonance, I turn the bass down. But yeah, sometimes on the monitor EQ a little bit of treble, but not that much.
Okay, cool. Yeah, well, it's going to be interesting then if you will try the in-ear monitoring. And yeah, it's going to be interesting to hear what you would be able to tell us afterwards, how the different situation is. I think it's a beautiful thing that in-ear monitoring is there. The challenge is, and I had this myself, that you need to bring the world in then afterwards, because if they're really closed, to make it really nice, because you can run very, very low volumes, because if your in-ears are not closed, you need to make them really loud to compete with what's going on outside. I tried that once. They were a little bit open, and I was deaf afterwards, because you don't realize how loud you're listening then when it's so close. So that's a challenge a little bit, to find the right setup to be in the world acoustically and have your low volumes and your great tones. It's going to be interesting, and maybe you come out of this with some more tips and tricks about this. So yeah, bear with us about this extensive rant in some parts about amp in the room versus cabinet in the room, microphone in the room.
Nerdy talk.
And the FR dis. So yeah, it's full range, absolutely. And yeah, even in-ears have their own frequency response. They sound different. So
even that's what I wanted to say. Even if you would have full range flat response speakers on your PA, you don't have a full range flat response room. So
Yeah.
we are going to the starting point. So every room resonates different. Some have more high boost more higher frequencies, some more the lower frequencies. You can't get that. So you need to be in a dead room. And this is not fine to listen to music when you're in the dead room.
Absolutely. And well, that's also when you're mixing concerts, and I had the chance to be there as well. There are also two approaches that you can, shout about and be angry about the sonic conditions of the room you have to mix the concert in. Too much this, too much that, and reflections and whatever. Or you just say, okay, that's how it is, and that's what it's going to be, and you need to deal with it and mix with the reflections of the room, which is always a lot of more work, because if you, especially if you programmed a bigger show, you have only so much possibilities to adapt to the room with your mixing. But yeah, that's a completely different conversation. Let's stick to guitar sound. So yeah, thanks so much for your approach to this, and to always add that room that belongs to the original sound, and not having an with the reverb modules, and not treat them as an effect but as a integral part of the sound. It's a very good approach. And yeah, let us know what you think, what you do, and how all this works in comparison to all the situations you might end up as musicians. And yeah, thank you for now, and see you next time. Bye bye.
Bye.